Hey guys, welcome back to DCS World. I'm Spudknocker, as always, and today we have the privilege of looking at the RP-1 Izumrud Radar for RAZBAM's upcoming MiG-19P Farmer B. So, we were scrambled to intercept an American B-52 who is being escorted by two Turkish F-4E Phantom IIs. Because they're in international airspace, we are not to shoot them down, but rather let our presence be known and ascertain whether or not the B-52 is armed. Now, as you may have heard, the MiG-19P was delayed slightly by RAZBAM, but don't be too down about it. They're just going to squash some more bugs, make sure it's really perfect for you guys, so you guys have a really good experience once you get it into your hands. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the electric power to our gunsight, radar, and weapon systems with these switches down here. So bing, 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 bing. Next thing we will do is turn our radar into standby mode using the power switch for the search antenna. That would be located right here. So just one click, bring that up into standby mode. And we can see that the radar is getting power from that voltage gauge. The radar symbology turning red indicates that the radar is now in standby mode and is warming up, getting ready to go into emitter mode. So following the instructions of GCI, we will go ahead and take her upstairs to meet that western formation. One thing to note is the RP-1 is a very early radar, and as a result, it isn't able to operate any lower than 2,000 meters or roughly 6,500 feet in altitude, or your radar scope is just going to be totally blanked out by ground returns. So we keep looking back, making sure our wingman is with us, and we'll start making a lazy left-hand turn as we climb to meet that western formation. Make sure our wingy is still with us. Alrighty, now that we're at altitude, we'll go ahead and turn our search antenna to the on position, turn on our tracking antenna as well. And we can see that our radar is emitting. Gonna turn on our tracking antenna there. The Izumrud also has an option for a high altitude mode as well as a low altitude mode. However, in my experience, it really does not make much difference in terms of the amount of ground clutter that we see. We also have indication lights for target lock as well as a breakaway indicator. The brake indicator lets you know when you have flown too close to your target and you need to break away in order to avoid a mid-air with your target. One thing we can take away from this feature is that the RP-1 was designed primarily for nighttime interceptions due to the fact that you can't see your target at night, and the range of the radar is roughly coincides with visual range anyway, so it's not really as needed for VFR conditions. So we'll go ahead and keep following the GCI instructions for intercept. So now that we have a visual on the enemy formation, we'll go ahead and swing her around and get the formation to pop up on our radar. And you'll see that really you can only really get a contact or a return on your radar scope when an enemy aircraft is within visual range anyway. So it looks like they're probably near the end of their orbit track. And we can see we now have contacts on our radar screen out about 8 kilometers out. We can determine from the picture that one escort is flying near the bomber, while the other has fallen back slightly, as we can see two returns very near to each other and one fallen back just slightly. So let's go ahead and close range and make their day a little bit more difficult. So like I said earlier, our goal here is not to shoot down this NATO incursion into the Black Sea, but rather to intercept, make our presence known. And looks like we got a lock indication. So I think we've got the B-52 locked up. Scratch that. We've actually got the F-4 locked up, who's on the B-52's wing. This is denoted by the cross symbology on our radar scope, while the B-52 remains a T on our radar scope. So let's go ahead and close range and see if the B-52 is armed. Make sure we keep an eye on the escorts. And as we near the B-52, we can actually see that the FOV, or the azimuth sweep of the Izumrud radar, is actually quite wide. As we can see, radar contacts almost off to our right-hand side at roughly about 80 degrees. For the B-52, he's changing his speed up and down and up and down. Oh, and we can see we got a brake indicator there as we near the B-52. He's trying to make it as hard as possible for it to join up on his wing here. Alright, we'll edge just a little bit closer. And we can see that he is most certainly armed with Mark 82 general purpose bombs. So let's go ahead and make his day difficult now by getting a little bit closer. Then we'll pass over the top of him and check out his escorts. Alrighty, so we'll move a little bit closer. We'll pass over the top of him and take a look at the F4s now. I'm gonna guess these guys are probably out of Incirlik, which means that they've got some tankers around here somewhere, giving them some juice to make it all the way out here into the middle of the Black Sea. So we'll go ahead and slide on back and slide right into the slot with this F4. And we can see that the brake indicators are now turned on as we approach this F4. And as we close the range, we can see that this Turkish F4 is armed with AIM-9 Sidewinders and AIM-7 Sparrows. So the escorts and the B-52 have definitely been changing up their speeds, making it a little bit harder to stay in formation with them. But they are keeping on a nice straight flight path in order to avoid any potential mishaps like a midair that could devolve into a much worse situation. So it looks like they're breaking away from the border of the Soviet Union, heading back out to sea. But we'll go ahead and escort them for a bit farther to make sure they are truly turning away and not just doing a feint. There, my wingman's joining back up on me. So we'll get a little bit closer to the B-52, give him another look-see, and then we will call it a day. We'll just slide past the escort lead. Looks like the F4 wingman is getting a little bit nervous as we get closer to the B-52 again. And we can see he's maneuvering for a firing position on our wingman. So it looks like we're coming through about 90 degrees in their turn, so they are definitely turning away from the Soviet Union. Let's follow them for a little bit more here. Make sure we keep an eye on those escorts. And that ought to be enough diplomatic relations for one day. So let's go ahead and bug out and head home at low level, back towards the east. And we will say goodbye to our Western friends. Alrighty, as we descend down past 2,000 meters, we can see that the deficiency of the RP-1 radar, as our scope is now completely blocked out with ground clutter from the sea. I would say that as a MiG-19 pilot, if you're flying in a nice VFR conditions, you won't really need to use the radar aside from weapons guidance for the radar-directed gun sight. But if you're at night or in some soupy IFR conditions, the radar could certainly help you find your targets under the correct circumstances, allowing GCI to guide you to that target. In a nice VFR setting, you're really not going to need it, as the radar only reaches out to about visual range anyhow. So we'll go ahead and turn our radar off for the flight back to home plate. So, thanks for watching, guys. I sure appreciate it, and I know that RAZBAM appreciates it as well. I know that the MiG-19 is delayed a little bit here, but you guys will have it in your hands soon. It'll be even better now that some extra bugs will be squashed. So if you like the video, please give me a like and a subscribe. And when you get the new MiG-19, make sure you fly safe and have fun. Thanks a lot, guys.